Let me say something about M&A. Number one, M&A is meaningful when it fulfills some strategic purpose. I mean, if an M&A is being done to just grow a company up and bulk it up, etc., etc., I'm not referring to those, because whenever I've done any or participated in any acquisitions or large mergers, they have been linked to a certain strategic purpose being served. One thing, when you asked the question, that came to my mind is, and when I hear the question and pieces in it, in preparation up to a merger or an acquisition, and all the analysis that is done, it is true that from a strategy perspective, more attention is paid to the acquiring company's strategy and purpose, and less to the acquired company. I'm not saying it applies to everything I have participated in, but overall in the industry, talking to friends, peers, associates, people I've met, I have found that trend, not just in India but globally. That's one. The second thing, an acquisition and all its analysis and all its valuation scenarios and what money was paid for it, or what stock swap was done for it, etc., etc., is only meaningful till the time the transaction is done. After that, once the transaction is consummated, what you get and do with that transaction is actions you take. Post it is what determines the value of an acquisition to the strategy or the purpose for it was done. And all the analysis, while useful, becomes very theoretical in nature. Okay? So now let's jump in straight away and into the particular question you asked, where how do you bring in a vision and how do you communicate it? Now, look, this varies. This varies from situation to situation. This varies from the circumstances in which the particular transaction was done. This varies in terms of what were the circumstances or things that happened in the acquiring company and also in the acquired company in their previous such experiences, which were successful or failed. But also in, when a transaction like this happens, there are many circumstances that precede the actual transaction. If you take the case, sometimes a company comes up for sale because a lot of top leadership, a lot of customers have decided to leave the company. Sometimes a company comes into play to be acquired or merged because the founder is retiring. Sometimes it comes into play because there was a crisis in the company, as happened 1.5 years ago in Hyderabad, and I was involved in that transaction. So a lot of these circumstances determine what method, what approach you take in that. So there can be a variation. In some cases you actually paradrop a complete team, right, who are told go in and take charge. In another case, and I can give you from experience here, many years ago I went to acquire a company called Deutsche Software from HCL, and there I remember going in with 4 or 5 people who had graduated in July, including at least one from the campus I'm sitting on now. And these 4 or 5 people went with me into that company, and we were the face of the larger company that was acquiring, that the acquired company saw. In another case where we acquired a company again in Bangalore, which was focused on product engineering and product sustenance for telecom equipment manufacturers. In that case, nobody went. The only role that few of us played was we were non-execs who helped by adding value, by making availability of a sales channel or making available customers, but we did not go and inherently try to change the DNA of the company. Or if you look at Mahindra Satyam, which was a much larger acquisition, the CEO went and a few key people went. So that is a function of, as I said, circumstances, and also a function of the leader's style, the leader who's going in to drive that process of acquisition, taking charge, and perhaps integrating or not integrating. Even those are things that drive what you do at that point. Now, so that depends, and that's where I suspect experience and knowledgeable people come into play, because you sit and define and devise that strategy of how will you ensure that all stakeholders in the company that is being acquired start to believe that there is a purpose in it. I've already said that I do believe that not enough attention is paid in preparing to the strategic vision as it applies to the acquired company. Most of the time it is almost 80% paid to the company that's acquiring and 20%. But then once you are in the process and the transaction is over, technology has changed, leaders' styles vary, the leaders' circumstances vary. Have they gone in with a team they already know? Have they gone in alone? Or have they just gone in for an oversight function as opposed to any executive involvement in the operations of the company?